Hi and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about 10 AWS mini projects which are perfect for beginners. And this is mostly because we've had a lot of questions about people starting their cloud journey and hearing things like get some hands-on, work on a project, go to the console, spin up an instance, for example, and they don't exactly know what this is or what it's about. So basically, I'll be walking you through 10 different projects to introduce you to the fundamentals of AWS services, but projects that would also teach you how to manage your resources and avoid unexpected charges. These projects will also help you understand what these AWS services are and how they work, and also give you hands-on experience to familiarize you with the console. So these are projects which are very short but can help really get you started on your cloud journey. And we'll be focusing on some of the core AWS services that are being used most often. So let's not ignore the power of understanding basic concepts, because most times we want to focus on the bigger picture and just walk through a whole project from beginning to end using various resources without understanding the basic resources and how they function together. As you do this project, I would advise creating these resources more often and do them as many times as possible, so that you just get, you become almost an expert, or you understand exactly how you can create a resource or build something on the cloud when you are asked. Getting this basic understanding of the resources will get you ahead of the curve and put you in a place where you would be better suited to follow the course better and really understand how to build on your cloud. So let's get to it. The very first project we're going to do is one of the projects that are most recommended across the board by every person, either teaching a cloud, giving out a cloud course, or just even within AWS itself, which is creating and monitoring your AWS budgets. This is just a way for you to control your AWS spending with budgets, because you don't want to get to an instance where you are faced with, or you leave an instance running for 3 months, 6 months, and you're being charged with a bill of about $5,000, $8,000. I don't want to say I've been there, but I've been beaten a few times. So monitoring your budget is a very good way to start, and I will just show you how you can do this. The first project we'll talk about is creating and monitoring your AWS budget. And you would notice that across the board and across the industry, once you start or want to log in or even create an account on the console, be it Google, Azure, Amazon, one of the first recommendations and best practices is that you create a budget and set budget limits and alerts, so that in case you go over the budget you want to spend for a certain period of time, say a month or 2 weeks, you'll get an alert, and then it will help you monitor how much you're spending. You basically don't want to get in the situation where you leave an instance spinning for almost a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months down the line, and you get a bill of thousands. I don't want to say I've been there, but I have been there, and I've been beaten quite a few times. So setting your budget and limiting your budget is very, very important. That is why this is highly recommended. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to take you through a short tutorial. It's very short and simple of how to create your budget. First thing to do when you start or create an account with AWS. So usually when you create your account and you open up your AWS console, this is your console home, and this is still my root user account. And also, which is the best practice, is usually to use your root user account to set your AWS budget, spending budgets and limits. So you want to come to the drop down menu, billing and cost management. And here it's basically just going to introduce you to what billing and cost management is. Give you a summary of it. If you want to take a tour, you take the tour, but for today we're going to skip the tour and just go straight to, what we wanted to do. So this is your billing and cost management page. I'll move this here. And right here you have bills, payments, credits. These are the credits that you have in case AWS gave you some, either vouchers which you input and you can use. Then you have Cost Explorer. You can check your free tier and see what services are free for you to use. Then you can come to budgets and set your budget, check out your budget result reports and all that. So this page basically just gives you a summary of the different things you can do. Since we want to do budget and planning, we're going to come here to budget. And so, like we said, budgets are a very effective way that allow you to monitor your budgets and configure, alerts as you approach a certain threshold or certain percentages of your desired spend, because you don't want to go, way above that spend. So we're going to create a budget. And here you can choose to use a template or to customize your budget. And there's also templates here, which is a new service that AWS is offering. You can either do a zero spend budget or a monthly cost budget or even daily savings plan. So you choose whichever one works for you. So in this tutorial, we're going to use a template to make it easier for us, and then we'll choose a monthly cost budget, just because some of the services, when you notice that when you're using the console, some of the services are free, some are not free, and some are paid, but it's very minute and it's a little insignificant. So you just don't want to limit yourself completely. But again, it's your choice. You can do the zero spend budget, which just notifies you if you just want to stay within the free tier limit without spending anything extra, or you can do the monthly cost budget. And I usually just don't want to exceed $10 a month, and if it exceeds $10 a month, of course it's going to notify me. How does it notify me? I'm going to add my email address here, just so I get notifications in case I go above the $10 that I have indicated. And after that, the next thing is just to create your budget. And before you create your budget, I also forgot that you need to, name your budget. How do you want this budget to be called? Is it my monthly cost budget? So I have no issue just leaving it at my monthly cost budget. You can customize it as you want, but I'm just going to leave it at that and go ahead and create my budget. So there you have it. My monthly cost budget is created, budget $10, and if it passes this threshold, I'm going to get a notification. Usually when it's even approaching this threshold, like $9, AWS is already notifying you that you're approaching your threshold for the budget you set for this account. The next thing I would recommend after you set this is, of course, setting your billing preferences. And what your billing preferences will do is, you're just going to receive invoices by your email, stating probably how much you spend. Just check all the boxes. Receive free tier alerts. Definitely receive CloudWatch billing alerts, because you don't want to always log into your account to monitor your billing or your budget. So every month you're just going to receive all these preferences and you're good to go. Also, don't forget to indicate the email address you'd want to use for receiving your alerts. So make sure you also check here and add your email address that you want to use. So at this point, you see everything is successfully updated. Sometimes it might take up to 24 hours for you to see your billing preferences or even your budget being set, and you probably receive a notification. This is all you need for this demo, setting your billing preferences and getting notifications. And then we're going to move to the next one. The next project would be to create an IAM group and manage permissions. So basically IAM, which stands for Identity and Access Management. like the word says, is just a service that helps you add users to a group or create a group, add users to a group, and manage the permissions you grant to these users. So you're working in an organization where you have developers, you have QA testers, you have a team of solutions architects or whoever. Every person belongs to a certain group. So this is where you're going to be creating that group of either developers or QA testers or whoever it is, or maybe prod, and then you grant permissions to them. And usually with AWS best practices or cloud best practices, you're granting the least privilege, which means you're only granting them the permissions or the access that they need for that group or for that user. So usually you would just create a group, or maybe there's already an existing group and there are permissions attached to the group or policies attached to the group. Then you add a user to this group. So an example of a policy you can grant is like an Amazon S3 read-only access, which is a policy that can be saved for starters, and this, when you grant this policy, it basically allows a user to only have read access to whatever resource you're granting them that permission to. So when you grant this, most times usually you actually attach a policy to a group, and then you add the user to a group. So it's discouraged to attach a policy to a user before adding the user to that policy, because users, when added to a group, they automatically inherit the policies that have been added to a group. So also imagine just having about 1,000 or 200,000 users. For example, I know it's a little exaggerated, and you have to attach each policy to a user before adding them to a group. You imagine the amount of time it's going to take for you to achieve this. However, if you just created a group and separated the users into different groups, attached the policies to the groups, and then added different users into these groups so they would inherit those policies, it makes it easier for you to manage access. So you can attach a policy or detach a policy from a group as needed. And it's important that understanding IAM, it's a very fundamental security best practice, which helps you ensure that individuals have access only to the resources they need, thus help enhancing your cloud security posture. So this is also a cloud best practice, and it's important that you add or grant users just the permissions that they need for that resource. The third project would be launching and terminating an EC2 instance. EC2 stands for Elastic Cloud Compute, and this is one of the core services of AWS, and it's going to be one of the most used services as you walk through your cloud journey. And just to reiterate, EC2s are basically virtual servers that help provide scalable computing capacity for your cloud workloads. So it basically just eliminates the need for upfront hardware investment, and you're renting a virtual server from AWS, which allows you to develop and deploy your applications faster without managing the physical infrastructure. This is also a very easy tutorial, and basically to spin up an instance, you click on launch instance. When you go to the EC2 console, you select an AMI, choose the instance type, and configure your settings. Then you add storage, configure your security group, you review, and you launch your instance. Now, this is where it becomes tricky. Don't leave your instance running for a long period of time if you have no workloads on it or you have nothing deployed on it. If you're just practicing, once you launch your instance, make sure you delete the instance. And to delete the instance, you just go back to your EC2 dashboard, click on Actions, go to instance state and you terminate the instance. So this is just going to help you gain hands-on experience with virtual servers and understand the basics of server management and security. Again, it's going to be one of your most used resources or services on AWS. So learn how to launch and terminate instances. Practice that as many times as possible. So the fourth project we're going to learn about and the fourth service we would learn about is Amazon S3, which is the simple storage service. And basically, Amazon Simple Storage Service is a service that helps you collect, store, and manage data. S3 is basically an object storage with a very simple interface, and it offers, industry leading scalability, data availability, security, and high performance. And basically, you can store, retrieve data of any amount, anytime, anywhere on the web, which is one of the advantages that comes with cloud computing. This is just a fundamental skill for cloud, either professionals or even beginners in the cloud. And it's very easy to also create a bucket and delete it. So you basically go to the S3 service in the Amazon console, create a bucket, you select a region, name the bucket, and the bucket names are always different. You cannot create the same bucket name as another bucket, and then you finalize the creation. A lot of companies use S3 today for backup and restore, and you can also save your data depending on the frequency in which you want to retrieve it. You have frequently accessed, infrequently accessed. You can save it in your Glacier or Cold Glacier, which is almost like an archiving service, and this is when you require a very long period of time to retrieve the data from it. You can also run data analytics with S3, and with S3 there are no minimum fees. You only pay for what you use, and prices are based on the location of your S3 bucket. So I included a link below in the description of how to create an S3 bucket, which you should follow. And our next project is going to be linked with S3 buckets, which would basically be deploying and removing a static website on S3. So S3 comes with so many capabilities, and if you didn't know, you can actually deploy a static website on S3. Hosting a static website on S3 is a very important project, and a very common project that almost everyone who studies AWS gets to do. And static websites are basically just individual web pages that include static content. So it could just be a place where you find pictures that could have been there or deployed there for a couple of years and don't need a lot of change. This project is also very, very important because deploying a static website on S3 lends or helps you learn and discover S3's capability to host static websites without the need for a server, and it also helps enhance your understanding of web hosting and content delivery. So besides storage, S3 can serve as static content using either HTML, CSS, and JS, or you can host directly to browsers, acting as a serverless hosting service. So you see, S3 comes with a lot of capabilities which are very important within cloud computing. Again, I've added a link below on tutorials or instructions on how you can host a static website. And make sure that once you deploy this, you should also be able to delete it at the end. And always make sure you clean the resources you've configured on your console. The next service and project is going to be creating and deleting Lambda function. And AWS Lambda is a very important serverless function. Basically, Lambda is a compute service that lets you run code without provisioning or managing servers. So what Lambda does is it runs your code on a high availability compute infrastructure, and it performs all the administrative activities of that compute resources, including the server and the operating system maintenance, capacity provisioning, and automatic scaling, logging with just code. With Lambda, all you need is really to provide the code in one of the language runtimes that Lambda supports, and that's it. It helps provision your resource for you. So just like the EC2 instance, Lambda is the serverless compute. It is also stated that Lambda is an ideal compute service for application scenarios that need to scale up really rapidly and scale down to zero when not in demand. So you basically just upload your code and Lambda takes care of everything required to run and scale it using your code. So Lambda gets you introduced to serverless architecture or serverless computing, and it also helps you learn how to run code in response to events without managing servers. Also check the link below for a sample demo on creating and deleting a Lambda function. The next service and demo would be CloudWatch alarms. So basically to create and delete a CloudWatch alarm. So understanding monitoring and alerting in AWS is very important, and CloudWatch helps you monitor your AWS resources and applications. It collects monitoring and operational data in form of logs and metrics and events across your AWS console or platform, and it helps you monitor usage and also security of your AWS console. So understanding monitoring is very important, and this project would help teach you how to track applications and resource usage, ensuring performance and operational health. So just like we did earlier on in our first project when we were setting an alarm for our budget or our budgeting needs, you can set alarm for almost any of your metrics to receive notifications when your metric crosses a specific threshold with CloudWatch. So using CloudWatch is a good way to monitor and investigate what is happening to your AWS console and resources. Now let's get to a little more challenging project. Hosting a WordPress website on EC2. Initially, we hosted a static website on S3. Get the difference. We hosted a static website on S3, and now we're going to talk about hosting a WordPress website on EC2. So this project is going to build upon your knowledge on EC2 instances by deploying a dynamic application. So it provides a foundation in web application hosting and database integration. So with this project, it's going to help you understand how different services work together, because you're going to be using different services for this, as well as help you gain experience with web hosting on a virtual server. You're also going to understand the setup of web applications. So the project really showcases the versatility, or EC2's versatility, in hosting different types of applications, from static websites to dynamic web applications like WordPress. In this project as well, you're going to learn how to SSH into an instance, how to install WordPress, and how to configure your database. Again, I'm going to put a link below for this project so you can follow the instructions and learn how to build it. For our next project, I'll be taking you into the world of databases. So we'll create and delete a DynamoDB table. So this project is going to introduce you to NoSQL database management. It's going to teach you how to store and retrieve data that supports your application's performance at scale. So DynamoDB, as you know, is a fast and flexible NoSQL database service for all applications that need consistent single-digit millisecond latency at any skill. So this project is really going to be a good one as well to help you understand DynamoDB, its language, and as well as understand how you can store and retrieve data from DynamoDB. So to create this, you just navigate to the DynamoDB and on the AWS console, and you click on create your table, name your table, then you define the primary key and you create the table. Then to delete, you just click on delete the table, you select the table you want to delete, click on delete, and you confirm. So this is basically going to help you learn about table design, data modeling, and it's essential for modern web application, or why it's essential for modern web application. For our final project, we're going to publish and remove a message from SNS. So we are going to be dealing with SNS topic, and Amazon SNS is a fully managed, publish and subscribe messaging system or service that enables you to decouple microservices, distributed systems, and serverless applications. In this project, you will learn about decoupled communication between different parts of your application and also enhance your understanding of distributed system message patterns. This one is also a simple project, however, it's a very important topic because it deals with decoupling and microservices, which are also huge services to master and know within cloud computing. Here you're going to create an SNS topic, simple notification service. That's what SNS stands for. You would create an SNS topic on the AWS console, subscribe to an email endpoint to that topic, and then publish a message to see it arrive in your email. That is testing if the topic works. Then after that, just always to be sure to clean your console or delete the topic that you created to avoid incurring cost in case this service incurs any cost. So there you have it, 10 complete AWS very mini projects that you can do as you start your cloud journey to understand the core concepts or the core services within AWS, from computing to storage to databases and to monitoring. But also remember that the best way to avoid unexpected charges is to clean up your resources and always monitor your usage with AWS budgets. So don't forget to do the first project, which is a very important project, and make sure that you set up your notifications to receive billing reports every month to your email. If you found this tutorial useful, please like, share, subscribe to the channel for more guides on computing.